It is Australia's worst mass shooting in nearly 30 years after 15 people died, including a 10-year-old girl.
The news live here at Bondi Beach on the deadly terror attack that happened here yesterday evening.
Beachgoers were unsure what the sound was, then realising the danger they were in.
Police were called to Bondi Beach around 6:45 p.m. last night after multiple reports of active shooters. 2 men were firing into crowds of people celebrating the start of Hanukkah at a park in North Bondi.
This is being filmed in the morning, so obviously the story will have moved on by the time you see this, but at the time of recording there has been 16 killed in Bondi, close to 30 injured, one of the gunmen dead. I think we all know what I'm talking about. The world does at this point, the Bondi shootings, which I think that was a major point of it. Apart from the fact that it is a large Jewish community, it is also a focal point of Australia of this is the good life. This is the beach life. This is relaxed, easygoing. I think that was another reason that they chose that. And if they didn't choose it, because the gunmen do seem fairly stupid, this has permanently tarnished Australia's image as a result of that. So thank you, well done. That was a really good side bonus of all of this. It's honestly so tragic, isn't it? It's particularly tragic in Australia because the entire point of this country really is you come here, you make a better life for yourself if you're lucky enough to get here in the first place, and you're supposed to leave all of your old world gripes behind. You don't bring that shit here. And the fact that they did is the reminder that, no, we're gonna do that. It's tragic for many, many reasons. The death toll is huge. I think it's the biggest since the Port Arthur massacre. So rest assured, this is going to be a permanent blemish on Bondi's image. And Bondi has always been the focal point of terrorist attacks throughout Australian history. There has been a lot of anti-Semitic attacks in Bondi over the years, but not to this scale. There's also been my terrorist attack, by the way, as well. That was also in Bondi. This is the one that is going to permanently change the face and image of Bondi. It will be remembered from now on as like a Port Arthur thing. Honestly, my condolences go out to obviously everybody's families who were shot there. That was really appalling, terrifying stuff that I would like to reiterate, you don't expect to be here. I think that is some of the clearest, most reprehensible footage that we've ever seen. I think that a lot of that has to do with the fact that everybody has camera phones now, but God, it was so real, wasn't it? I kept thinking the whole time as well, thank God the guy that crash tackled them was a Muslim. Could you imagine if he wasn't? And props to that guy as well. That was some of the most heroic stuff I've ever seen from anyone. Going up while they're blazing, sneak attacking them, and taking bullets. Copping spray for about 3 minutes. The death toll would have been a lot higher if it wasn't for him. I do hear that Chris Minns is saying that there is going to be a bunch of reform as a result of this, and we will wait to see what that reform is. But can I just suggest something, Chris? You really got to do a Bob Carr on the police force. I understand from early reports that the Australian Federal Police and ASIO were aware of at least one of them. They were a father-son duo. I understand that this is out of the purview of Chris Minns, but I have to say that this is a common character trait throughout all of the Australian police force. They're so lazy. They're a bunch of Chief Wiggums. I know this from my own experience with the cops. I know this from numerous other people's experience. There is this deliberate painting in American media for some reason to try and make Australia out to be this police state, this sort of democratic North Korea. It's absolutely the exact opposite. I can tell you from lived experience here. We are living in Springfield. Our police force is lazy, they are incompetent, and I think that is really a result of the fact that Australian society generally is fairly lazy and incompetent, and that's great, but it really does, because you can usually get away with it in a country that is as peaceful and easygoing as Australia, where everyone is too lazy to think about such retributive, hateful acts as this. But if somebody does break that sort of Malay code that is in Australia, this is what happens. And you have a police force that is well aware of it and doesn't do anything. I think that if you are going to make a bunch of reforms, Chris Minns and Anthony Albanese as well, you really have to do something about the culture of police in this country. I've also heard from a guy that used to make reality TV shows about detectives in Australia. He used to go in and he was saying that it was honestly so appalling that he would have to go out and make them look like they were doing their job. They would just sit around and have the longest lunches. They do fuck all. They do absolutely nothing. That is the big reform that needs to happen. And I know that that was a big reform change that happened under Bob Carr, so it is possible, and a big part of his police commission into it. Everybody always points out, oh, the corruption and all that. No, a big part of changing the culture was, you get an hour for lunch, that's it. Then it's back to work.
Now, having said all of that, 2 police were injured, and that's obviously tragic and valiant. The issue I have is more with investigators, not cops on the beat, and how this was able to slip through the net.
This is really evil stuff. This is changing the face of a nation permanently. And I don't even think that they thought this through as well. They are just psychotic, awful human beings that deserve the highest of condemnation from everybody. And also on top of this, you understand that it's politically motivated from their end. And what have you accomplished? Really?
If your goal was to attack Israel, then
You've given them the greatest gift that they could possibly give, which is a true tragedy and a true understanding of, like, this is why the Israeli state needs to exist. And obviously, this is a very good example of that, isn't it? Like, you've kind of just proven their case for them. So well done. That was really smart. I mean, look, it's already being used. This is early days. It was a very clumsy attempt. It really reeks of Netanyahu's contempt of Anthony Albanese. For whatever reason, he's really got a bee in his bonnet about him. Classic Netanyahu move. He's trying to score points off the tragedy for his own evil machinations. This one, I've got to say, was a particularly odious attempt, and also so early into the tragedy as well. So he immediately linked it to that and said that this is all Albanese's thought for not being tough enough on anti-Semitism, which is a real stretch, seeing as the Albanese government has done more to address anti-Semitism than any government in Australian history. The guys that set up the anti-Semitism task force, for Christ's sake. Obviously, Anthony Albanese really playing the bigger man, as he usually does in international disputes, really rising above it, saying, no, this is a time of national unity. This is way beyond petty calls. But as you are saying, this is already going to be used as a great propagandic point, because there is serious merit to this. This is a really horrifying attack. It's tragic. And obviously we were supposed to be off and Merry Christmas and season's greetings and all of that, but I thought that it was probably appropriate that we came back pretty much to say that thoughts and prayers with the family members today. It must be so horrifying seeing your loved ones filmed getting killed. Horrible stuff.